Frank is one of the people in this world that I like to see the least, even though I love him. Because every time I see him, I can't help but think about the Knicks. And when I think about the Knicks, it does things to me.
Hey man, this is the A-Man Show. Today we're going to talk about the New York Knicks, who has been one of the most dysfunctional franchises not only in basketball but in sports. The same team that's kept Spike Lee out of the arena, same team that infuriates Stephen A. Smith to the point that he feels sorrow. Now let's discuss why the New York Knicks are the worst franchise. If you subscribe, make sure y'all like the vid and turn on post notification. For those who are not subscribed, subscribe anyways. Now let's get it on.
I paid my dues, now I'm a made man. I caught my fade, now I'm a made man. You never see me again. I got the juice, now I'm a made man.
The Knicks have been the laughingstock since 2002 as James Dolan bought the Knicks in the late 90s, and at the time, the Knicks were the first AFC to make a finals appearance in 1999. In the first 2 years of the 2000s, the Knicks were playoff contenders, but they were no longer dark horse finals contenders as they lost to Vince Carter and the Raptors in 5 games. Unexpectedly, Jeff Van Gundy resigned after they went 10-9, and the Knicks replaced him with longtime assistant Don Chaney, who was a worse coach as he only got the team to 30 wins compared to Van Gundy taking them to a finals appearance. After the 2002 season, when they went 37-45, which is the second year they missed the playoffs, things started to go AWOL quickly. The Knicks hired Isaiah Thomas as president of basketball operations and quickly became one of the worst general managers of all time, as it took a million years to clean up the shit show Thomas has created. As the Knicks had the highest payroll in the league, and majority of the money that was spent were players who didn't amount to anything to this team, such as Stephon Marbury, who's an all-star back in New Jersey and regressed along with Steve Francis. This was after Thomas hired Larry Brown as head coach, where he won a championship with the Pistons in 2004. Later, he drafted Channing Frye, who was an average role player, and signed Jerome Big Belly James to a 5-year, $30 million deal, at which he averaged just 3 points, 2 rebounds. He came to practice out of shape, which just led to his demise. In the 2006 draft, they held the second pick, and keep in mind, the second pick of the draft was LaMarcus Aldridge, who was a 7-time All-Star, made All-NBA 5 times, averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists per game for his career. For an inexplicable reason, they forfeited the pick to the Bulls in the 9th pick of the 2007 draft, who was Joakim Noah, who will later win Defensive Player of the Year and make a couple of All-Star appearances. Throughout the 2000s, the Knicks only had one playoff appearance, and that playoff appearance was in 2004 when they got swept in the first round by the New Jersey Nets. Isaiah Thomas has single-handedly ruined this franchise and done so much damage to the point that despite them being one of the biggest marketed teams, no big-name free agent wants to go to the Knicks. Thomas was fired altogether in the 2008 offseason, finally. The following year, they held the 8th pick of the 2009 draft and selected Jordan Hill, who will later be one of the shittiest, most unproductive players in the league, and was selected before Steph Curry, who will later be a pretty good player himself. In the 2010 offseason, the Knicks acquired Amari Stoudemire, as the year prior averaged 23 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist per game at 55% shooting. They signed him to a 5-year, $100 million deal, at which people yet again questioned why give him a lucrative contract. Stoudemire silenced the haters, as in his first year he averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists at 50% shooting. Since his play on the court, he has lived up to the contract he has been given. It won't be long as the injuries started hampering him, and for the remainder of his time at New York, as the 2011 season was the last year he played at a superstar level. Now, this is the beginning of the glory days of the Knicks, as they're going to pursue Carmelo Anthony, as the amount of young assets they have and are already producing at such a solid level. You would think that the Knicks will wait during the 2011 offseason to sign Melo in free agency. Nope. They pulled the trigger as they traded Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, 2014 first-round pick for Melo. Although they have Carmelo Anthony, it was going to backfire hard eventually as they quickly pulled the trigger instead of signing him in free agency, in turn keeping all the young solid players. As in the 2011 playoffs, they were bounced in the first round against the Boston Celtics in 5 games. In the 2012 season, they had a very slow start, going 5-18. D'Antoni decided to play Jeremy Lin as Anthony suffered an injury that kept him out a while, and Lin was lighting things up. And then, you know what it is, man. Carmelo Anthony gone jealous as he came back. In the Carmelo Anthony era, they made it to the playoffs in 3 seasons, and their best season was in 2013 when they went 55-27, making it to the semifinals when they lost to the Indiana Pacers. So basically, it failed, judging from a regular NBA fan as myself, but as a Knicks fan, it was an accomplishment, sadly. And people overlooked how the experiment between Melo and Stoudemire worked, as it failed miserably as Stoudemire was injured in a cell of himself. In the 2014 offseason, they hired Phil Jackson as president of basketball operations as they selected Kristaps Porzingis as the 5th overall pick, but that's the only good move he made in his entire tenure. The rest of the moves are just flat out terrible as he tried to integrate the triangle offense that is outdated, and the players he signed, I'm gonna let Stephen A take this one.
First move as the executive was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
Knicks will go on to have their worst season in franchise history as they went 17-65. The following season, they improved to 15 more wins, going 32-50. Jackson wants to go all in, so he traded Robert Lopez, Jose Calderon, and Jerry Gray to the Bulls for Derrick Rose and Justin Holiday. Phil Jackson will later sign Joakim Noah to a 4-year, $72 million deal. A past his prime Noah, who can't shoot or even defend at a high level no more. He will average 5 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists at 49% shooting in 2 seasons combined. Jackson resembled himself as the reincarnation of Isaiah Thomas of the mid-2010s. You can make the case that Jackson's tenure as president is worse given the 3 years that he had with the team. They finished 166 in 3 seasons under Jackson and was fired after the 2017 draft. Thank God. But I'm not finished. Knicks hired Steve Mills as president, and in his first move, they traded Carmelo Anthony to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Enes Kanter, Doug McDermott, and a 2nd-round pick. They put Porzingis as the centerpiece of this franchise and also re-signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to a 4-year, $71 million contract while agreeing to a 1-year minimum contract with Michael Beasley. They also traded for former lottery pick Emmanuel Mudiay from the Denver Nuggets at the trade deadline. I'm okay with Mudiay as he is an average role player, but giving Tim Hardaway a 4-year contract worth $70 million, Hardaway is one of the most inefficient players in the league as he shot below league average in every season, which led to the Porzingis trade. Porzingis suffered with an ACL injury that kept him out for the remainder of the 2018 season and the following year. In all the terrible trades, draft picks, and signings I've mentioned, he was fed up with the organization, so he demanded a trade and quickly traded to the Dallas Mavericks in return for DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., and Wesley Matthews. What is so ironic is that they traded him quickly rather than convincing him to stay. Good news, they saved up cap space to sign 2 max players, one of which is signing KD and Kyrie and hoping to get the 1st overall pick in last year's draft, and that is Zion Williamson. To make that hypothetical is what baffles me, as they didn't get one of these players, which is the funny part. So in the 2019 offseason, they signed not 1, not 2, but 3 big men. Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, and Julius Randle. Randle is a great player as he had his breakout year with the Pelicans, but this year he was inconsistent and not been the factor of winning games as he put up just empty stats. So the New York Knicks are fucking anus. They're the most poorly ran franchises in the NBA, if not the most poorly ran franchise. All the turmoil made, James Dolan refused to sell the team because at this point he cares about the paper, not winning games. And RJ Barrett is a great young talent, and he has so much upside. I hope to God they don't fuck up his development. I see him as a star in this league compared to all the young guys on the team that are either at best role players or bust. Dennis Smith Jr., for example. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel for more content in the future and click on the notification bell where I post a new video. And this is the A-Man Show, signing out.